Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark. And today we have a really great guest for those of you who are looking to really find your visibility online with digital and social media. But before we go, I want to remind you to run over to YouTube and follow us, subscribe on Superbrand Publishing. You can see all of these people in live. If you're a video person, you can go over there and see this on video. Also, don't forget to go over and take the Promote, Profit, Publish quiz. You can find it at www.promoteprofitpublishquiz.com. Find out if you are really ready to publish. Most of you need to build an audience. Most of you have a lot of things you need to do before you actually publish that book and get it out to the world. And don't wait until the last minute because it takes time. So today's guest is Benita Samuels. And she's the founder of Visibility Solutions Group. Benita promotes and speaks about the importance of being digitally visible. An early adopter and practitioner of digital and social media for business strategy, Benita brings a unique perspective to her audiences having adopted new media when it was actually new. She reveals professional insights around the how, where, and why of increasing your online visibility, including maximizing the power of LinkedIn as a vital tool for connection. So welcome, Benita. I'm excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you, Juliet. I'm excited to be here too.
Yeah, well, this is great. So you guys, Benita looks really good. She wanted me to mention that before we started. She's very proud of the way she looks today. She put on lipstick. She painted her office. She's a longtime client of mine. So this is big news that she's redone her office. Go ahead.
It's amazing how it refreshes you also, especially if you are a work at home individual, because it's surprising. I walked into my office and it went from this kind of weird color to this blue. And I walk in, I just feel so much more alive. I feel like I'm somewhere else, and it just gives me much more energy. So if you haven't updated your office recently,
you should. That's so funny you said that, because a while back, about a year ago, I used to have my production boards behind me for publishing, and Nina, and I don't know where Nina's name just flew right out of my head. She's a video expert, and she said, hey, with COVID, like, your office is your new space and it needs to look professional. So we redid my background because of that. And I feel much better about it, but I have my boards over here out of the way. So yours too?
Yeah.
But it gives you more energy. It just feels a little lighter and better too. And I'm sure it does for the people on camera too. So we're going to talk today about the top 5 places where you need to be online and why. So
absolutely. It's shocking, actually, how many people don't realize the value of these elements online. That, generally speaking, it's not a paid platform. You own or have access to these places, and all of them ladder up to your search presence and your visibility. And truthfully, people have to know you exist if they're going to read your book, hire you to do business, interview on a program. You have to have visibility. And right now, before COVID, even more so during COVID, if you're not online, you just don't attract people the same way.
That is so true. And I want to address something that I think is a big fallacy that hit with COVID is you're about to tell us about 5 ways to be online, where you need to be. And when people were hiring us during COVID, and we do something a little bit different with the quiz. It's not what you do it's a much smaller scale. They expected this to be an instant gratification. I'm going to be on next week. Everybody will find me thing. Bust that out for them, please.
Well, I mean, let's start with everything is built on relationships. People do business with people. They don't do business with companies. And so relationships take time to build. If you're in a transactional business and people are searching for you, okay, well, maybe you'll start to see a little bit of benefit. But the reality is anything you put up online, it takes about 6 weeks for all of the search engines and all the platforms to register what you do. And that's the short game. Truth of the matter is, digital and social media is a long game. It's about building relationships. It's about being visible in front of your customers where they are so that they don't have to search for you. You're top of mind. You are present in their spaces. And in turn, when they need what you offer because they're familiar with you, they see you around, they reach out. On the converse of that, it's also really valuable because being in their space, you have the ability to identify when they need your help. And because you have a relationship that you've built online, you can reach out and it's not a cold call. It's not this blind thing. There's already that relationship, which is why there is on LinkedIn specifically, there's a 62% higher conversion rate to conversation than there is in cold calling because people feel like they know you. It's the whole reality of the false sense of social media. You feel like you have relationships with people, even though you don't, but they see you, so they feel like they know you.
Right. That's absolutely true. So where do we start with this? What's the number one thing that they have to have when they're online?
Number one thing is you have to have a Google My Business page.
Okay.
People are like, well, I don't have a brick and mortar business. And well, good news is some time ago, Google changed the rules. So you don't have to have you don't have to have a brick and mortar location to have a Google My Business. And in fact, you can be a solopreneur and have a Google My Business. It's super simple to set up. It gives you Google value because Google loves Google. And it creates additional ways. Well, it validates your business and it creates ways for you to generate one of the other top 5 places you need to be online. And I'll get to that. And it's a platform where you can actually distribute content. 6 months ago, I think it is, Google introduced the ability to post content like you would on a social media platform on Google. Now, there are a few rules behind that. One, you don't want to do it every day. It's not a social media platform. 2, you want to use it strategically. So whatever you're posting, make sure you're driving it to the second most important place you need to be online is you need to have a website. There's a lot of discussion about having a website or not having a website. A lot of people think if you have social media now, you don't need a website. But the fact is you really do. Even if it's a simple single page, it's another validator. It's another place for the search engines to crawl to find you. It's a place to drive people to for information. People tend to say, oh, they don't have a website. Then, are they the real deal? So very quickly, 1 is a Google My Business page. 2 is a website. And as I was talking about content on Google My Business, if you write a blog or you write an article or you have something interesting, a program to share, you can post it on the Google My Business and link it to your website. Another reason to have a website. So 1 was Google My Business. 2 was have a website. 3, which Juliet, you shared a little bit, and it's a very passionate topic of mine, is you have to have a LinkedIn profile. Like it or not, you really do. LinkedIn is more important than any other of the social media platforms. It doesn't matter if you are in business or if you are just a person looking for a job. LinkedIn is the number 1 social media platform that people go to check you out. In fact, they go to LinkedIn more times first than going to your website or any place else. They check you out on LinkedIn and then they navigate from there. So again, as you can see, all of these things are starting to intersect because if you're using LinkedIn strategically, you are driving people to your website. If you're using LinkedIn strategically, people are coming there to check you out and learning who you are and what you do. And all of these elevate you in this other side of visibility, which is search. I focus on the organic ways to increase your visibility. Search is a paid, people looking for you as opposed to knowing you. I also say on LinkedIn that you really should create a business page and a personal page. Now, the business page is a validator. The business page also provides added search. They just added the aspect that you can actually publish an article on your business page. It used to be only on your personal page because people do business with people. But what has happened by allowing that article on your business page, you can now share it to your personal page and in turn write original content there. And so if the article drives people to your website, LinkedIn doesn't penalize you for going off platform because you've written original content. Secondly, which is really cool and really valuable, is Google may read, if say your article is a blog that you published on your website, Google may read the blog on your website and recognize that in search and add that to your search value. The same article, even if it's verbatim, which is shocking to me, if you post that on your LinkedIn business page, Google reads that as a separate piece of content.
Wait a minute. So stop there. You didn't used to be able to do that. You had to be very careful about sharing identical articles.
Yeah, because they want to say the content's different. But what Google has discovered is that, as I mentioned, LinkedIn is the first place people go, that they are seeing that people are doing more on LinkedIn than ever before. So if you search yourself, generally speaking, your personal LinkedIn page will come up in the top 2 in Google. So when LinkedIn added the opportunity to put articles on your business page, now that wasn't the case before. That's only new in probably the last 8 weeks when they added some new functionality. Google recognized that it was going to generate more awareness. And so they decided, for whatever the Google gods were thinking in the algorithms, that was okay to be another piece of content, because I think they're seeing it as a circular motion, keeping them in this universe. But what I don't think LinkedIn realized is by putting your article on your business page and linking to your website or linking to an external platform, if you share the article on your personal page, you don't get penalized for pushing them off the platform. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
So when I talk about an article, this is about content distribution. When you think about it, lots of people do blogs. They put it on their website, it's gone. Here's an opportunity for you to take that blog, create it as an article on LinkedIn, share it as a piece of content off of Google. And now you have multiple crawlers on that content and multiple ways for people to see your content.
Okay, so I have a question here. For those of that are like me, I don't share it on Google, but I share it on YouTube. How does that translate, since they are the same company?
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Google loves Google. YouTube is owned by Google. What I would say is this: still share on Google. You can either share it. You do it like a post, and you can drive them to your YouTube channel because you can put the link in, or you can drive them to a printed piece. All of it is organic ways to drive your visibility. And in fact, you probably know this, Juliet, but YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google. Now, think about that. You don't think as YouTube as a search engine. You think of it as a video distribution platform, but the reality is people are going on there searching for things all the time.
Right.
My husband used it to search to figure out how to change out our garbage disposal. So it is actually the second largest behind Google.
That's so true. We just ran into a couple weeks ago. This is such an incredible story, you guys. We played golf with a 16-year-old kid, and his father was with him. His father used YouTube videos when he was 10 years old Dad never played golf, but he taught his kid how to play golf. And we were playing with a scratch golfer that was 16 years old that learned to play from YouTube.
Wow. Well, I'm not a golfer, so you have to explain what is a scratch golfer.
Scratch golfer means you're at par. So you're shooting a 72, which is an extremely good score when you're, a weekend golfer. I golf more than just the weekends, but like I am. But to be able to look at videos and teach someone from the videos is just like, we were blown away. We were, surrounding Dad going, "Oh, please tell us which pros are you using on there?"
Yeah. Well, and it is true. I mean, everyone says you can either go to Google or YouTube to learn anything if you have the confidence to make the attempt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
So it gets back to why you need to have a Google My Business page. And if we were going to add a sixth one, I would probably add YouTube, but not everybody does videos.
Right.
So I'm going to repeat just really quickly for everybody to make sure that we stay on track here. 1 was Google My Business page. 2 was having a website. 3 was LinkedIn. Now the other 2, I think you'll be, definitely the next one, you'll be surprised, is many, many business owners and entrepreneurs and writers are members of organizations. I'm members of multiple organizations. Some I pay for, some are volunteer, but many of them have directories of members. And you are often have the ability to list yourself in the directory. You should be putting yourself in every directory that is available to you, if it's paid through a networking group or if it's free through a Yellow Pages system, because it still exists online, because every single one of those directories adds to your visibility value. We have a networking group, which is where Juliet and I met, called the Dames. The Dames has a full directory. A closed directory to the general population, but Google still knows it exists. Mm-hmm. Google will still pull up people based on how you have listed yourself in the directory. So if you're looking for a visibility expert, I'm pretty sure my name is going to come up because that's how I position myself. Or, if you're looking for somebody who can help you publish a quiz or a tool, I'm sure you'd come up, Juliet. So think about all of these organizations, your alumni associations. Put your information into these directories. It's one more piece of the pie that adds to your visibility and value.
Right. And I'll just share with you guys, anytime I'm a part of something like that, like the Dames, I go through that and connect with those people over on LinkedIn too. So it's not just you appear there, it's you building a relationship with those people as well. I go back and do that with almost every group I'm a part of, because I want to know who's there. I want to know resources. I want them to be aware of what I do for referral as well.
And the other part of that, Juliet, I know that you and I both have a appreciation for LinkedIn. The thing about connecting with people like that, we all have to remember it's not about who they know or who we know. It's about who they know.
Exactly.
Because that's how the word gets out. What the oldest form of marketing and increasing your visibility, word of mouth, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's not about who you know, it's about who they know. So let's leverage that.
So let's back up with that a little bit though, because being a LinkedIn expert, there's a right way and the wrong way. And I was going through my LinkedIn this morning, as I do every morning, and I have messages from people trying to sell me stuff. Yeah. And it's like, so I'm connected to you on LinkedIn. I may or may not. I mean, I think I have 15,000 connections, so I'm probably not aware of you. But now your opening salvo to build a relationship with me was a sales pitch. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I can. It's an interesting and it's a dilemma when I talk about LinkedIn, think about LinkedIn. So just a little backup. LinkedIn launched in the early 2000s. And when it launched, it was positioned, it launched shortly after Facebook, and it was launched in the position of the professional networking platform, social platform. And everybody who joined at that point went on and basically uploaded their resume into their profile. And from that time until 2016, LinkedIn was primarily all about finding a job. You built your page, you left, and you never came back until it was time to look for a job. Recruiters and HR professionals were using it. But in 2016, Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and the game changed. At that point, they started refocusing the platform on being about content distribution.
Right.
And in 2017, a gentleman by the name of Coco Sexton, he was one of the original LinkedIn team members who launched the concept of social selling, which is using a social platform to sell your services or your products. Now, not like door-to-door salesman knocking on the door, not like cold calling. It was built all on this premise of relationships. And as LinkedIn has evolved over the last 5 years, you know that much about it is building that relationship through the tool. The problem that exists with the cold call pitch in your messaging started to emerge when LinkedIn introduced their Navigator tool. And their Navigator tool is a paid platform where it identifies people who may fit your target audience. And so that people started using that the same way they used cold calling. Mm. And it really diminishes the value of LinkedIn. Enter 2020 with COVID, and LinkedIn's visibility just escalated because all of a sudden everybody's online. How are you meeting with people? How are you connecting with people? And that aspect just exploded. I will say from my side, Juliet, I have seen that start to curb. Mm-hmm. But what I would say is, unfortunately, you have to understand that that's going to happen. That's when people don't know how to use LinkedIn strategically, which is why I teach it, because there is a right way and a wrong way of doing it. And that's why, if you know how to use it correctly and you build that relationship through content distribution and engagement, you can easily move people into conversations. And in fact, so LinkedIn promotes that through their paid platform, Navigator, they have about a 6.2% conversion from connection to conversation. The methodology that I teach, which is all about that engagement, and it's a long tail. It's not I do it today and I have a customer tomorrow, but it moves you from that into the conversation. And I see, depending on the industry, between a 15 and a 25% conversion to conversation. So I probably went off on a tangent because I love LinkedIn, but the thing of it is when you get those, you have two choices. Well, three choices. You can ignore it. Right. You can respond back with, sometimes I get snarky and say, LinkedIn is about building relationships. Right. Don't come at me cold with a pitch. And other times I might look at the pitch and say, you know what? I'm interested. I might want to talk to this person. So, I say go into it with an open mind, with the understanding that it's going to happen, and don't let that drive your opinion of how to use LinkedIn.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there that is teaching the pitch with a who do you know, because lately, probably the last week, I've gotten a lot of that. Somebody with a cold call and who do you know at the end of it. And it's like, I don't know you. Right. Why would I give you somebody that
Do you want to know actually something interesting? And I teach this, is that when you're connecting, firstly, you should start, if you're building your network, obviously people people that you're in a group with, or look at your second level connections, because they have a relationship with someone. But here's the big thing. Unless it's somebody you know or you're in a group together, if it's like just a second level connection, don't put a message.
Nice. Okay.
Because exactly what we're talking about. People have become immune to connections with messages because they think you're pitching them.
Right.
So they're much more inclined to accept your connection without a message.
Right. Interesting. So we went down a little rabbit hole. We've got to get back to number 5, but it was a good rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, number 5 is really important, and that's about online reputation. You need to generate online reviews. There is nobody that you will meet, nobody who is listening who has not looked at a review online. And if there's somebody out there who has, then you can call me out on this, but I don't believe there is. So you need to generate online reviews. You can do it through your Google My Business page. Mm-hmm. You can do it through LinkedIn. You can do it through Facebook. There are all sorts of ways of doing it, but you really need to have online reviews, because those that don't have reviews, people say, they're in business, but nobody has anything to say about them.
Right.
And you have to understand, you're going to have some good and some bad. If you have a bad one, address it. Usually there is something behind it. But generally speaking, if you look at reviews, there's way more positive reviews than negative reviews. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to do. When you are putting something out there, you can reach out to friends and say, hey, would you put a review for me? It's still authentic, even though you're speaking to people that you know. On LinkedIn, you can go into the recommendation tool and request a recommendation there. You can put reviews on your website. You can ask through Facebook. Obviously, you can do it through Google. I actually have my platforms of preference, and when I'm done working with someone, I send a thank you and I include links. So all they have to do is click on it. Yeah. And then do the review.
So I'm going to tell you a little secret that I do. All of mine are over on LinkedIn. And I love it because when I used to do sales pages or something on my website, I would have to go searching around my computer. Do I have an image of them? If you use what's over on LinkedIn, all you have to do is grab it. It has their name, their title, their picture, and it's a backup. So people can't accuse you of faking reviews, which you and I both know people have done on their website. So it's really an easy way to keep all of your endorsements in one area.
Yeah. And, it's also a great way because you can, that distribution opportunity exists there. I also say, and I should practice what I preach here, but don't lose sight of that. Try to, on a regular basis, weekly or monthly, ask for those recommendations. Mm-hmm. You want them to be fresh. You want to continue to replenish, and that feeds back into your search as well.
Yeah, it does. And I do try to do that after, but it's hard sometimes to remember. So you have to remember to do it while it's fresh, because I don't know, sometimes when people are having a good experience, I always talk about this with the quiz. When people finish your program and they've taken that quiz and they've seen how far they come, that's the time to get it, because they've just reviewed that they've spent the last 6 months growing. And it was because of your help. So I always feel like you have to get to it right away so they don't forget the experience they just had with you.
Yeah, exactly. And since I do a lot of work on visibility and on LinkedIn, it's even more important that I do that, because it's reflective of the work you do.
Exactly. Yeah. So this has been really helpful. Where do we find you if we want to find out more and figure out if we want to work with you?
If I may, Juliet, I do want to kind of make a little plug for you. Juliet helped me put together a great little tool called yourvisibilityfactor.com. And if you go to that link, it will give you a quick access to a 3-minute assessment that covers the 5 places you need to be online, and will help you gauge how well you are showing up. You'll get your visibility factor, and you'll know if you need to enhance, where you need to enhance, or if you are, a rock star there. So Juliet's great to work with, and she did this quiz with me, and I just love it. So check it out, yourvisibilityfactor.com. And if you want to connect with me, you can email me at Benita at thevisibilitysolutionsgroup.com, Benita at visibilitysolutionsgroup.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Benita-Samuels.
Great. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you, Juliet.